One thing I want to say, it means a lot for us to win at home, and I thought our crowd has been unbelievable the last 2 games, and it really made a difference. Our guys fed off that energy, and so, like I said, it's a shared experience when you get into it like that, and you could feel them, especially that last drive.
Yeah, Coach, what was the key to the offense getting moving and scoring on the last 4 possessions?
Well, we thought we were moving the ball pretty well all day. Good mix, guys, a lot of things we were doing. That's why you keep working, and we got a lot of belief. But you got to ultimately go out there and prove it. D-Led, so sometimes that, I had a lot of confidence that we would come out and execute pretty well today. Again, a lot of things we're always going to have to work on. But we got so much belief in our guys. You get in those critical situations, going for it on those 4th downs, and our guys keep swinging. And even the way they executed the little things, staying in bounds, not only once we got in the field goal range, you're playing that fine line. Like, yeah, we wanted to get that last first, but to take all that time off the clock, make them use their timeouts. There's so much situational football and good situational football. Our guys executed late and before the half, too.
And just to follow that up, can you explain the rationale on the decision and to go for it on that 4th down there to keep you in field goal range?
Bijan's one.
Yeah, that's toss sweep to Bijan.
Before the 2-minute warning, I felt good about the play, the way we were blocking, and really, whether it was going to be Bijan or Tyler in that situation, I had a lot of confidence they were going to get the first. And that's a belief. And there's just situationally, could have been super conservative and kicked the field goal, but there was a lot of timeout. They would have, possibly had a 2-minute warning depending on how the kickoff, and then the timeouts. And so wanted to be aggressive. And then even late, with the minute being 4th and 1 at that point, I didn't want to get too cute. And I knew our defense, if they had no timeouts, I had a lot of confidence we'd go stop them.
What do you say to Ridder after the first pick? Because he hasn't obviously thrown one.
Well, he got hit. We got Kyle wide open, and he got hit. The ball popped up. That's Kenny Clark. We had a good bull rush, I believe, and he never got to step through it. So we go back and look at it. We had Kyle coming open, and it happens. But the thing about Dez, even the one that he got, he kind of got aggressive, was trying to work it to Drake, and he jumped inside. Jair did, I believe, and thankfully he dropped it. But we have so much conviction. You're gonna, it's not gonna be perfect. You learn from it. Doesn't make the same mistake twice. Yeah, the first one you got to give Kenny Clark credit. That hit that caused that interception. Those are stats that I don't think anybody appreciates. But if I was coaching Kenny, I'd be like, that's a hell of a play.
What's the next step for him in terms of his development from what you've seen so far over the first 2 weeks?
And I go back and look at the tape today, Michael, but I thought it was a pretty efficient day other than the drive. We got the penalty to start the half. Thought it a pretty efficient day. He's a winner. Guys believe in him. You could see it. I think in those critical situations, he's at his best, and that's been his history. And again today, right before the half, they thought a pressure look, so he checks the coverage. He extends that play, and he works it back into Drake. That's why these guys love him. He embodies what we're about. And it was a good all-around game by the entire team. Like I said, different guys, and it's going to be somebody different every week depending on who they're trying to take away and what the looks are. And I thought, Jono, had a pretty solid day, and of course Drake too.
Coach, in the back here, sorry. Young Ho Koo made those 2 kicks. I'm sorry?
Young Wei Koo.
Young Wei Koo, yes. Made those 2 kicks. Can you kind of assess his performance today? I know he missed one earlier, but can you kind of assess his performance overall?
It's like Dez throwing the pick. We got a lot of belief in our guys. We don't sit there and play in our fears, and that's what happens in the National Football League. Young Wei's made a lot of big kicks for us. Koo's is about as clutch as there is in this league.
Arthur, obviously you get paid to make those decisions, like the 4th and 1. You could kick the field goal to take the lead. Like you said, what is it about your belief, or maybe in your DNA as a coach, that leads you to go for it in those situations?
Well, every one of those are different, Jeff. You know what the numbers are. You're certainly aware, but again, there's a human element to it, and the way that our guys were coming off the ball. Again, the call. Again, they're all educated guests. They have a chance to change it up, and they did at times. That's what the league is. But there was a lot of conviction. Felt great about the call and really about the guys, and that was why, Jeff.
And following that up, not only you guys coming back offensively, but defensively, you guys, the defense had 2 or 3 stops in a row there after kind of getting steamrolled for 3-4. What do you believe in terms of
I don't know.
how maybe your belief is
We
sort
have
of filtered into
the
them?
numbers, what's the total they have? Make sure I have it right. Bassey's handwriting, a little chicken scratch sometimes. No, Green Bay's. Yeah, I know they had the big plays off the flea flicker, start the game with a DPI, and then the one first drive off the half. Again,
They had like 4 straight scoring drives, I think, until
yeah,
the fourth
and I'm
quarter.
just saying they had the chunk plays off the penalties. I'm just saying we got to stop them. I'm not making an excuse for them, but I wouldn't call that. Those are your words. I'm not going to give credit to even repeating them. Again, I don't have a problem with that, but I just say that we got to not commit those penalties. That would be a great coaching point. When the ball's up there like a punt, hopefully we can turn around and go and play that better. I'm not blaming the player that it was called on, but we can play those situations better, and credit to them. They got the penalty twice, huge chunk plays, and then they executed well. And they, we made some adjustments too. They were trying to use the motion to get guys free, to get them off our press. And you come back and, as a team, I mean, that's the momentum of a game, right? They took the lead. Were they up 12, I believe? And we went right back down, and we felt confident. And then, that's what you do. That's what great coaching. You come to the sideline and say, here's what they're trying to do. We changed up some calls, and we showed them some things late in the game that we hadn't showed them early, and tried to make them figure it out. And we went, 4 and out? So, again, that's a good NFL team. There's good players, good staff. But certainly there's always stuff to coach off of and work, but I'm just proud of these guys.
I'm sorry, one quick thing, then I'll limit. That 4th and 1 decision, did you make it like right away, or did you have to think about it for a while?
We talked about it, but I like the call, and you're trying to, I asked, the thing now, you wanted a measurement, you don't get the measurement, right? And so I was going to, now it was low because I was asking for the measurement. Again, I'll be quiet because I don't know what I get fined for. So I just threw the challenge flag as a timeout. So then we talked about it some more as I was using the challenge flag as a timeout because we were debating the spot. Again, they made the right call and gave me time to talk it through with the players.
To go back to Dez, you've talked for a long time about his abilities in crucial situations and crucial moments, even going back to college. What is it about him that you think makes him so good in those moments? And he seems to progress as the games go on. Well,
he's got good spatial awareness. I mean, you could see that, some of the stuff when he scrambles as a play extender, certainly on some of the zone read stuff we did today. Again, like I said, even as a young quarterback, they always try to throw different looks at you. That's a good secondary, good defense, good coordinator. But he's able to process really fast, and he's got a belief. I mean, and he's got evidence of it. I mean, you go back to his history in college and so far in the NFL. I believe that's 4 straight wins as him as a starter. And so and he keeps working to get better. That's what we love about him. And then so much of this game is not only just evaluating the physical tools, it's between the ears and the chest, I would argue, is a big part of it too.
What can you legally share with us, your thoughts about that Mac Hollins touchdown, not touchdown? I mean, what's a catch and what's a touchdown?
I'd rather not ever speak on it because we'll find out. And again, they have a tough job, but it is what it is. I mean, I have to look at the tape and we'll communicate, but they have a tough job. So it is what it is, and it's our job to move on. And, thankfully we were able to come back and get the win.
And going back, or talking about Bijan Robinson, I mean, he had more than 100 yards on the ground. Had a big hit, too. Looked like he might have been sore. He was looked at afterwards. How's he doing? And what can you say about his performance?
Nobody said anything to me about any injuries, so that's a good thing. I mean, again, it was a physical game. I thought he looked good. Looked good at that last run. Again, you're, half a yard, give or take, away from, milking the clock all the way down to 1 or 2 seconds to kick it, to not go back out there. But I believe Quay Walker made a pretty good play. I think we had a little misdirection. Get the first down, go down, like we weren't going to score there. And so they made a play, and they did, measure it, and then I took the timeout. But we got a lot of belief in him and Tyler and all these guys. And, when we get CP back, hopefully soon, it'll add one more element to the offense.
Coach, following up on Bijan over here, what have you seen in terms of growth and development from training camp to now that he's at game speed?
He's just very instinctive and very smart football player. We put a lot on his plate. A lot of times people draft players like that and they try to, it sounds good, but we had a lot of conviction too that he could handle that. A lot of things we did, and credit to our football staff and personnel. There's a lot of meetings that go into it. and a lot of time spent. So we're just not sitting there and sound good in theory. We knew he could do it, and he continues to get better. He's a really fun player to coach.
Yeah, or you mentioned Cordero, he was inactive, but he practiced in full all week.
Again, those are decisions you make, right? If you want to wear, and he could have gone if he had to, but those are the decisions that we're paid to make, and a lot of that is communication with players. So hopefully get him back really soon. But he's trending in the right direction. Same with Jeff. You guys saw him at practice. Nothing to hide there. You guys are there every day. But we got a lot of belief. I thought Nate Landman, right, stepped up. That's our team. That's why you continue. I told you guys in camp, while we develop guys, while we mix and match. Just proud of these guys.
So just to be clear, so it wasn't a healthy scratch for Patterson? He's still...
And Mike, we're going to get into semantics. Those are coaching decisions, and as we all communicate with our players, and a lot that goes into playing on Sunday, and you make some decisions short term, or you're looking at long term, and also what the game plan is and how you think you need to, or what personnel packages you need do you think to win the game.
And in terms of the first quarter goal line, you guys had, I think it was 5 plays from the 2, although one was
they got the DPI, right?
One was the
we were going
DPI.
for it, and then we had the false start, and so it was 4th and 6, and we kicked it. Some looks in. I got to look at the tape, but again, I thought and you adjust. You see something that allowed Dez to score later in the game. That's what coaching is. But again, try to be aggressive. Some of the things that we had shown before. They got good players, and we never would have known what 4th and 1 would have looked like.
Not to make this a scheme question, but more in terms of the rhythm aspect that team's been talking about this week. Was there more of an effort to try to get Dez involved with his feet, just to try to get him in more of a rhythm?
Again, it's just, you're making those decisions, how much you want. That's going to be every week, how much you want to run, how they play. Of course, they can always adjust. It's a fine line. We've always got the ability to do it, but this was a particular week that we felt pretty good about some of the stuff we had up, and that was why. I mean, it's good defense, and there's a lot goes into it. Sometimes we adjust things in a game, but we always have the ability to do it.
Just from my point of view and limited understanding, it looked a lot.
Don't sell yourself so short, Josh.
I'm selling myself far on even that. It looked a lot easier in the passing game as the game went on. Is that accurate? Did some things open up for you, or was that just you keep swinging and keep swinging?
Even going back to last week, like I said, we didn't have a lot of penalties today. I mean, that first drive of the second half, that felt like last week. Again, we could argue, but when you put yourself behind the count, you're getting into some obvious pass situations there. You're trying to give yourself a chance to go get the first down, and they made a play, and again, I had to watch the tape on that, but that was the only drive I think we had that stalled out, but that was a penalty, and we didn't overcome it. We did overcome one early that Drake, right, went up and got it on 3rd and 15. But we were able to get into a rhythm, and that was last week. That's what it was. It just never felt like we got in a rhythm. And once you get in the rhythm of the drive, sure, the game's going to play out. They're going to adjust, but then it's why we have so much belief. But we got to go continue to improve. I mean, just because we had a bunch of yards today, I mean, Detroit's going to have a game plan. We got to continue to get better.
Coach, could you discuss the play of Nate Landman, who's been in the program for 2 years, undrafted guy who got his first NFL start today?
We don't. That's why we continually look. Credit to the entire staff, personnel staff, football staff, and there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we believe in developing, and those post-draft spots, and any spot a guy gets on our 90 is important. And Nate's a great football player. He's instinctive, he's heavy-handed, and played a little bit last year for us. But that's what we are. When you got a real team and guys believe they all have a chance, and that things happen. And glad Nate stepped up today.
Coach, just wanted to go back to Jonnu Smith. How important is it just to see what he was able to do to extend drives at some critical moments today?
Well, it gives you another weapon, right? There's so much focus sometimes on Kyle. There's certain things like, that's what I say about play calling. Sometimes somebody might bounce be the primary, and you work through it with a look. Something happens sometimes. A guy may bail out, especially in some of the play action. Sometimes guys may bail out and get in the vision. Again, you don't know what the quarterback sees. We think we do when you have the TV look and it slows down, but we got a lot of weapons. And Jonnu is somebody that's made plays in big-time games, and he's been good. That tight end room, those guys love each other. I mean, Mike Cole-Pruitt is an underrated leader on our football team, and Kyle and Jonnu. So if you're going to take him away, that play in particular, it was Bijan and Kyle were the primary, but they gave us a look, and then it goes back to Jonnu and Drake. But that's football. And so when you got a lot of belief, okay, pick your poison. And Jonnu is one of those guys. He's a great catch and run player. He got a big yardage on the screenplay, and some of the stuff he got out in the flat, he's hard to tackle. Glad he's here.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank y'all.
Or good night, good afternoon, something like that. Good late evening.
Des, can you just talk about how that game was? It was so crazy. You guys looked like you were, kind of down for the count, and then you come back and you just kind of take us through the game from your perspective.
Never down for the count.
Okay.
Yeah, when you see the Atlanta Falcons out there, we'll never be down for the count. We're going to fight until that clock hits zero. So, that's what I'm proud of this team and everyone on this team for not giving up, and just keep going out there and just fight until that clock hits zero. Obviously, when you get in that situation, we were down 10, I think, or 11, 12. It's not about scurrying and, panic. It's about, okay, take a deep breath and then just go play the next play.
Coach Smith was talking about just one of the things that they liked about you, even coming out of college, was the crucial downs, the late game situations. What is it? How do you perform so well in those situations, just from your perspective?
Yeah, I think like we said last week, you talked about how the receivers handle not getting the ball, and I told you guys, the reason I play quarterback is because I have the ball in my hands, every single play. So for me, when those big time situations come up, whatever it may be, we know that, if the ball does end up in my hands, I got to go make a play. And so I've been in those situations before, obviously college and here. It's something that, like I said, it's not something that you panic over. It's something that, hey, this is the next play, go execute it.
Des, walk us through that crucial fourth down call right before the 2-minute warning from your perspective. You have the scramble on third, doesn't quite get it, and then you've got the fourth. What's going through your head as you're working that play?
Yeah, obviously, trying to get the first down there. We had a run call with a little RPO, so it could have gone either way. The end squeezed, I pulled it, he read out of it. I just try to go back, try to make a play, get back to the first down yard marker. Obviously came up a little bit short. Going back, I would obviously try to get 6 more inches.
To that play, when Arthur was asked about it, he was using words like, we had a conviction about and a belief in the guys that we had to go out and make that play, whether it was Jean, whether it was you or Tyler, whoever, there was a conviction there. What does that say to the level of responsibility that this coaching staff puts on you guys in those situational moments?
Yeah, it's obviously trust. Trust and seeing that throughout the week that we put in the work, that we've executed that play over and over and over again, that we know when we come out here on Sundays that when he calls it, we're going to execute it to its fullest. So for me, that's just trust and belief in all 11 guys out there on the field that they're going to do their job and their job only.
My expert analysis would be that the passing game looked very hard early on and then a lot easier in the fourth quarter. Can you tell me if that's accurate? And if so, what changed?
I wouldn't say it's accurate. I would just say, it's all about getting into the rhythm, getting into a flow. When we start being able to move the ball, getting those first downs off the drives, getting them going, that's obviously when it starts to pick up. You start to see, a little more tempo, a little more juice to the guys, and, things open up. Obviously, we do a lot of play action, so the backers pull out really quick. The DBs might be more afraid to go for the run and give up, the pass above them or whatever it may be. And so, yeah.
Is it difficult to be patient in the moments when that rhythm seems to take so long to get in gear?
Yeah, sometimes it is. Sometimes it is hard to be patient. You're just trying to look for a play. Whether it's a run play, screen, whatever it may be, you're just trying to look for that one thing to get you going, that one thing to get that momentum going. So sometimes, yeah, it is hard to be patient in those moments. You want to try to force a ball. You want to try to make a play. But it's actually in those moments where you got to kind of take a step back and just say, like I said before, hey, just play the play as it is, no matter what the down and distance, and just go execute it.
What can you say about Bijan Robinson's performance, especially towards the end? He said he took a helmet to the chest and knocked the wind out of him, but he still was able to come back in and get yards for you guys on big plays.
Yeah, he's a competitor. Like I said, he's a competitor, but he's also humble. He's going to go out there and obviously put his head down and go to work every single day, in which he has, and then shows up on Sunday. And so for us, he's a huge attribute to our offense. And, he does nothing but good things for us.
After you threw your first interception, Bijan said he looked at you. He said he always looks to see the demeanor, and you were calm still, if maybe even more motivated. So where does that come from, where it didn't bother you, it didn't bring you down, and you remained focused?
That's just kind of how my whole career has been. Never get too high, never get too low. We always talk about in our quarterback meeting room, the energy feeds off us. If we're down, everyone's going to be down. If we're up, everyone's going to be up. So obviously, for me, I try to remain neutral throughout that entire game. I felt like I did my best job of just staying calm. And like I said, just playing each play as it comes.
Des, you mentioned rhythm. You talked about that throughout the week. You talked about it last Sunday. Why has that rhythm been so hard for y'all to figure out in the first half?
It's just how football goes. It's how it goes. Sometimes they're going to come in. Sometimes they're going to punch you in the mouth. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm just saying, you can't ever dictate what the defense is going to do. And sometimes they come out and maybe have a better scheme, a better play call, whatever it may be. And we just have to go out and figure out how the next time we come back on the field, how to execute it better.
Is it something in your game, though? Because even if you go back to last year, it seemed like that was always kind of a thing. Was early on, it took a minute for you to get. Is that just how you are in some ways sometimes?
That's for you to say, not me.
I'm asking. Yeah, you've known you longer than I've known you. Like,
No, for me, obviously try to get in the flow of game. Obviously, snap one, you obviously want to be in the flow. I would say sometimes, it takes a little bit longer to get going. That's one thing, talking this offseason that we worked on was, how can we be able to get out there and from play one, be in that rhythm, be in that flow. So that's one thing that obviously we'll continue to work on. Like I said, it's game 2 of a 17-game season, regular season. So we'll just keep continuing to work and keep getting better.
when do you think you got the trust of these guys?
When?
Yeah.
I'd like to say hopefully I got that trust, once I stepped in there last year. If I didn't have the trust of those guys last year, then obviously we're in the wrong position. I put myself in the wrong position if I didn't have their trust. So if you look back, that would have all been on me. If you said that, if you went and asked these guys if they didn't have my trust, that probably would have started from the day I walked in. I did something wrong or wasn't doing what I was supposed to be or, didn't go to my job 100%. But like I said, ever since I've stepped foot on this organization, on this campus, I've wanted nothing but the best. I've wanted to put in, 100% effort and have full trust and respect of every single one of these guys on the team.
By your volume and demeanor, you seem to be very excited right now. And I just wondered what a fourth quarter like this does in the development of a young quarterback.
Yeah, it's huge and it's crucial. Like I said, even throughout that entire fourth quarter, I was just trying to stay calm, stay patient, and just let it come to me. Just let the play itself. But for not only myself, but for an offense, that was huge right there. That was huge for obviously us to go out. It's tough right there getting those two, stops right there where it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. And we aren't able to go for it. Obviously, we played the situation as a game. Huge for Q to come in, step in after missing one early. To have the trust, obviously, that we have in him, to go out there and knock down those kicks, that's huge for us.
And you probably didn't think you'd go through your whole career without throwing an interception. So I don't know how you processed that first one.
Yeah, no, obviously you got hit on it, but it's just, how you get back, how you bounce back from it. So I felt like, we did a great job of coming back out there, not worrying about what happened the last drive and just keep going on the next.
And this question might have been asked as I was in the locker room, but going back to that slow start, you're down 24-12, but your defense keeps getting 3 and outs, putting you in position to win this game. How important is it to know that you can have the confidence that your defense will, kind of hang in there until you guys can get back in like you did today?
Yeah, that's huge for us. Like I said last week, though, that's something that we can't count on every single week. That's something that we have to go out there and we have to set the tempo as an offense. So, when we get back, we'll have talks of, hey, we got to pick it up. We got to do better. We have to lead this team just so that, in that one case that, the one Sunday where a defense, whether it doesn't show up or they have a few plays go wrong here and there, we got to be the ones to go out there and set the tone and set the tempo early.
For you personally, when did you feel like the energy or the momentum switched for you guys? Like, what changed for you? A lot of the guys said, like, kind of in the fourth quarter. Was there a specific play or drive for you that you felt like you guys had a
I
chance?
would go back to we talk about as a team, we talk about that middle 8. We deferred off the coin toss to get the ball in the second half. We got the ball right there at the end of the first half. We knew we had to put points up on the board. So for us, when we were to go down there and move the ball, be able to get points on the board, obviously that was huge for us. And talking about that middle 8.
Des, obviously the win is the most important thing, and I know there's some stuff you guys want to work on, red zone, things like that. But just kind of getting in the weeds here a little bit, over 200 yards passing, over 200 yards rushing, 36 minutes time of possession. I'd imagine that's, as an offense, you guys are pretty pleased with those numbers, aren't you? Kind of as a template of what Arthur wants to do offensively each week?
Yeah, like you said, there's a couple of passes I wish I could have back. I'm sure there's a couple of runs we wish we could have back. But, it's not a perfect game. But I feel like obviously we did enough, obviously, to go out there and get the win as we did. But there's obviously that's not the best Atlanta Falcons offense you've seen right there. And we know that we can do way better than that. So it's going to be up to us to come in here on tomorrow, watch the film, get better, and go back to work for Detroit next week.
Yeah, it does. Just to clarify something, middle 8 means?
Middle 8 meaning last 4 minutes of the first half, first 4 minutes of the second half.
Okay. Is that been something that's always been in your head your whole career, or is that something that you picked up here? Or?
No, I mean, that's obviously something that a lot of teams throughout football talk about, is that middle eight. Especially like we said, we want to double up that. So we get the ball right there at the end with the last 4 minutes in the first half. We want to take that ball, get points. When we say double up, we get the ball back in the start of the second half, come back and get points up on the board. That's huge for momentum. That's huge for offense, defense, and everyone.
Des, you had several key pickups with your legs today, and you didn't really run that much against Carolina the week prior. Is that something about this rhythm that we've been talking about that can help you and even open up some things in the passing game?
Yeah, 100%. That opens up things in the passing game and run game. Obviously, going in, the defense would have to then account for my legs, and which I'm sure they do. The scramble, the called RPOs, whatever it may be. The defense has to adjust for that. But when we get out there and make scrambles, it obviously opens up the passing games, kind of gets people out of their spots. So, as many times as I can use my leg without it hurting the team, I'm going to try to do. Anything else? Come on, D.
Yeah. Wait. She's.
You loud, you good?
Once y'all, all right. Once when you got rolling there late, the 4 straight, field goal, touchdown, field goal. What were some of the keys for the, maybe that was, throughout that was working for you all offensively?
Yeah, like we said, it was just get that first down. Once we got out there on the field, it's just about getting the ball going, getting the ball moving. So, when it's easy, you can hand off a ball and it goes for 8, 9, 10 yards. Plus, that's huge for our momentum. And so just to get in that flow, just getting that first down, getting it going. I think you go back to Mike, you talk about how do you start fast. It's about getting that first down, getting the team moving, getting the flow moving. And I think that's obviously what we did really well.
And where are you at rhythm-wise? You talked about rhythm last week, and you think y'all took some more steps in that direction today?
I would definitely say it strides in the right direction. It's not 100% where we want to be at, but it's definitely strides in the right direction.
Desmond, I know you have to watch film and all of that, but what is it about this particular game that makes you feel like not just you, but the offense took a step forward today?
Like I said, we was able to go out there and we was just able to keep it moving forward. There were things that went wrong, there were things that went right, but at the end of the day, we were able to come back, lock back in, and keep it going. It's when those times and when those things do go wrong, how are we going to bounce back from it? How are we going to come back out on the field and keep the ball moving forward? How are we going to keep the defense sitting on the bench and us, on the field holding the possession? And so for us, I feel like we did a good job of that. Obviously, like I said, there are a couple throws, a couple runs we could have back, but we're definitely moving in the right direction.
Are you a guy who grabs the stat sheet at the end of the game to see what your numbers were just to never have?
No, I was just told. He told me. So that was about the first time I heard it. So.
Do you ever look at them during the week? Does it matter to you to judge your progress by looking at those, sort of the counting stats?
No, I wouldn't say that because, there's throwaways, there's batted balls. So, you can't just go look at, I was however many and say, this is how I played that game. I played terrible this game because I had this. Can't look at the QBR because it is what it is. Last week, I had a high QBR or whatever. This week, don't know what it was. But, it's 2 different weeks. So for me, it's just about going back, watching the film, and grading myself on, what I could have done better. It's probably not one play in there where I'd say it's A+. So there's always things that not only myself but everyone else can get better at.
Do you literally grade yourself? I know the coaches give you a grade, but do you go through every one of your games and grade yourself?
Yeah.
What did you grade yourself last week?
Last week was like a C+. Yeah, no, it wasn't all great last week.
How many A's have you had in your life?
Not very many. And that's just who I am. That's just who I am as a person. I think that, there's always room for improvement. There's always steps that you can take to get better. And for me, obviously being complacent is one of the worst things that you can do in this league as a football player is just, feel like you've made it or feel like you've worked hard enough to be where you're at. For me, I feel like I've always got to work harder. I always got to do one extra thing. I always got to be better to be able to keep taking those steps.
So what would you grade yourself, or is it too early right now? Today?
This week?
Yeah.
Without looking at the film, probably another C.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because there were throws that I missed. Reads that I could have done better. Checks at the line of scrimmage. A couple times when I talked about a couple weeks ago, getting in and out the huddle. the efficiency there. You would go back, you look at the game clock's draining down on us, getting down 3, 2, 1. That's on me getting out in and out the huddle, making sure we get all the calls right. So there are a lot of things that you guys don't see that you guys may think went right, but actually went wrong. So that's where I'll go back and look at, and that's where I'll knock myself.
And what can you say just about the fans and the crowd energy? It's the loudest I've heard it since I've been here.
The fans have been amazing these past 2 weeks. The whole city of Atlanta has showed up. They done a heck of a job. You know, when the defense is out there on the field being loud, when the offense is out there, we make a big play, you hear them. You hear everything that they do. So for us, it's huge to have that fan energy, to have the momentum. And, you know, we just hope they show up every single week just like that.
All right, so what would you need to do to get an A for yourself?
What would I need to do to get an A?
Yeah, in
You
your
probably
eyes.
go back to that stat sheet. Pretty close to perfection on that stat sheet. And then you go back and watch the film. You made every protection check right. You made every can or check that we have in the run game, whatever it may be. Everything was 100%. You went out of there healthy. You won the game, most importantly. And yeah.
So, all right, you said you've given yourself a few. When was the last, do you know the last one you gave yourself?
The last.
A you gave yourself?
No, it's probably been a while. It's probably been a while.
Like, are we talking high school while or Cincinnati while?
Probably early Cincinnati while, maybe. But even then, I mean, there's still, like I said, it's got to be, to have an A+, you gotta be one of those, I mean, it's got to be everything goes right for you. And so that's tough for this league. Obviously, we could control what we can control, and some things you can't control. And so that's where, you know, you get automatically knocked in your so-called grading.
I know last year was last year and it's a different team, but these are the type of games, you guys had so many games last year where it was come down to the wire and you guys just couldn't finish, just fell short. What does it say about this team that this year, first opportunity you guys have, you do it and you close the comeback?
Yeah, it's huge. Obviously, you know, as a part of last season, I think it was 15 games we were in, about one score, whatever it may have been. And so to be able to come out here and obviously finish on top, that's huge for all of us.
How good did it feel to, I don't know, just come out with this home crowd and get that win, get that comeback completed?
Oh, it felt great, obviously, to come back and win this, obviously with the home crowd behind our back. You know, being in Mercedes-Benz, like I said, it's a different energy. It's a different atmosphere. You know, you guys talk about my home win streak, whatever it may be. That's not built from just me. That's not built from, you know, just the guys on this film, the coaches. That's built from the city. That's built from every single person that shows up in the Mercedes-Benz waving an Atlanta flag. And so, you know, we'll just try to keep that going, just to keep the energy going, keep the momentum going. Hopefully we can show up again.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank y'all. Have a safe drive.